Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers lost the game in Phoenix 115-105, and there was so much to say. I'm glad I have 57 minutes here to speak. I may actually have to use all of them. Um, so, in looking at this game, the first thing I want to point out is that Anthony Davis had a stat line for the ages. I believe he had 37 points, 5 blocks, 5 steals, 21 rebounds, and an assist. 14 of 15 free throws. I think 11 to 18 from the field, and I don't think he attempted any 3-point shots at all. So that was one of the great stat lines in Laker history. So I just want people to understand that. That's what he did tonight. And to be honest with you, we were having a hard time getting him the ball in the fourth quarter, so that his numbers would have been much higher of shooting the ball if we could have just. You know what? I can't even lie. I got to give credit to the Phoenix Suns. I think they did a much better job of giving us interior defense than we did seeing the other teams, as we figured we would. You know, they have a lot of guys that really play well in the paint. You're talking about Ayton. You're talking about Wainwright, I believe is his name. He was on the map tonight, playing very well. Torrey Craig, Bismack Biyombo. Those bigs were really kind of pushing us out of the paint and trying to keep us from ultimately doing what we wanted to do. I think the Lakers did a good job of not fouling tonight. When you look at the free throw difference, we shot significantly more free throws than them. It was crazy in the difference. But if you listen to me complain as I further speak, I think one of the problems that I had was the officiating. It's not that we didn't get a bunch of calls. We got plenty of calls. It was just the ones that I think we needed, that we were deserving of, particularly Russell Westbrook driving at the paint. Some of those plays that didn't get called turned into transition buckets because of the fact that the ball would fly off the rim when he missed a layup. And it would ultimately turn into points that we ultimately could not overcome. It was a lot of what went wrong out there. So I just felt like those key plays was like, all right, I could blame Russell Westbrook for not connecting on those plays, because he was kind of inefficient here and there, and those moments did turn into transition buckets. But the majority of the time, I was honestly thinking, okay, there's contact there. Okay, there's contact there. Okay, there's contact. And it's like, all right. So to me, I don't want to get too far into this basketball game without first saying that I didn't like how we were officiated tonight. And I'm not one who likes to complain too much about the officials. I probably complained about it maybe twice this year. But this is one of the more noticeable games for me, where I just felt like they were leaning very much on the home team tonight. And it affected what we saw. It really affected a lot. And even though Anthony Davis was getting to the line a ridiculous amount, it was the moments that we did not get calls that really actually determined the outcome of what it is that we saw from a score perspective. Just based on what I've already described. So you can say this is one of those weird games where the officials really control things. Put it like that. You will look at it and you will clearly see the fouls were called in certain ways. And if you break it down really, 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 really close, I bet you'll find it was highly manipulated. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because I looked at every single possession and that's exactly what came to mind. I'm like, yo, this is weird. But nevertheless, the game was played at a great pace. Both teams were very aggressive, and I don't think that is all there was to see in regards to the outcome of the basketball game. There was plenty that went into why the Phoenix Suns won tonight. The real theme to me, outside of what it is I've already said, was the question I'll pose. Who did you trust tonight? Because Darvin Ham trusted some guys tonight, and they didn't deliver for him, and some guys that maybe did deliver for him, he didn't trust, and it hurt the team because of it. You know, Thomas Bryant came in and didn't only miss one shot, 4 or 5, and he only had 11 minutes. Now, mind you, I've been screaming all day, rebound, rebound, rebound. Got to play against size, and told you all about these bigs. And Thomas Bryant only got 11 minutes in a game where he only missed one shot. Didn't I say that about Wenyen Gabriel but like 3 games ago when we had a situation like that? I just need our coach to pay attention to everything. And I know it's hard to do. He's a rookie coach. It's a million things he's trying to focus on. But one thing we cannot do is leave the hot hand sitting down, especially when the focus is size and he's a 7-footer. And then you look down there and you're like, who is he trusting? He put Dennis Schroeder on the floor. What's Dennis doing for you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Getting shot over on one side, leaving shooters open. And then on the other end, bricking 3-point shots. All right, so that's just one problem right there. Dennis Schroeder did absolutely nothing for me tonight. On both sides of the floor, he was horrible. I'm just going to call it like it is. I know he's trying to work himself back into the equation. And I don't blame him for being horrible because of it. And that's why I look at the coach. I'm like, that's not Dennis Schroeder's fault. This is where he's at in his conditioning. He's trying to work his way back in. This is where he's at. You don't put him in a game like this. This is why I didn't want us to play LeBron James. Because we got to let LeBron get his rhythm. We got to let LeBron shake off the rust. Not against a team that's trying to beat us when we got 3 teams ahead that are going to be wanting to tank. We got 3 games to run against G Leaguers to let Dennis Schroeder get 21 minutes to jack up nothing. You know what I'm saying? You got games for that. You don't want to do that against the measuring game where we're saying, okay, this is the team that we're saying if we work our tendencies properly, we can really take and propel to who we want to be. We're saying we don't want LeBron James to play in this game for certain reasons, and then it comes down and we lose by 10, and you look around and we got some of these issues. Let me further get into what it is I'm frustrated about in regards to this game. So I look over there, all right, fine. That's just one player struggling. I look at Troy Brown. What's Troy Brown giving me? Troy Brown's an 0 for as well. Absolutely nothing. How many minutes he get? Over 18 minutes. All right, why do we trust him? Of course, we need the length. We need him to be able to guard people. Did he do anything defensively? No. Did he do anything on the boards? Not really. So what exactly is he doing out there? If he's just running around and not accomplishing much of anything at all, at what point do you look and see within the game, this is what's taking place, let me adjust away from him? All right, he was an 0 for. Nothing. Give me nothing. I look at Wenyen Gabriel. He's also an 0 for. 0 for 3. All right, fine. I'm not happy about that. He's been struggling, and I pointed it out. But we can't look over there and see his minutes at 7 minutes. 7 minutes? Again, what is the problem we're talking about against the Phoenix Suns? Size. And I'm looking at Wenyen Gabriel. I'm looking at Thomas Bryant. And I see they don't even have 25 good minutes between them. Like 30 good minutes between them. And we're going up against all this dang size. And then I look over, I'm saying, okay, who else is this man? Who are we trusting? I'm looking at Patrick Beverley. 0 for 2. Now, granted, a lot of what Patrick Beverley was doing was positive. And, of course, we're going to get into what Patrick Beverley did right now. Patrick Beverley had a situation where Austin Reeves had gotten fouled by Devin Booker. And it was a simultaneous situation where 2 fouls were called in the same play and they had to review it. This particular play, Devin Booker had fouled Austin Reeves on a shot. Austin Reeves was hit in the face by Devin Booker. They called a technical on Devin Booker for hitting him in the face, as well as the 2-shot foul that has to take place when he's shooting the ball and getting fouled. At the same time, when Austin Reeves hit the floor, DeAndre Ayton was next to him in the play as Devin Booker and him are kind of colliding. DeAndre Ayton, I guess, thinks it's a good idea to step forward over Austin Reeves before he's able to get up. Anthony Davis is standing there as well. And Patrick Beverley sees this from afar and steps up and pulls a Chris Paul on him, just like he did against Chris Paul. When he pushed Chris Paul in the back, he pushed DeAndre Ayton in the back to get him off from standing over Austin Reeves. Now, I thought that this was the type of energy that I like. And I thought if you're going to do something like this, I thought Patrick Beverley had picked the perfect time to do it and understood himself to be the perfect guy to do it. And here's why. Because at the time he did it, we were down by 8 points. He wasn't doing nothing. Once again, another 0 for. Wasn't accomplishing much anything scoring the ball. So he knew he wasn't helping the team in the ways he needed to. This is what he does. He's an enforcer. If anybody trying to do anything of any kind that makes us, cower in any way, he's supposed to step up and show out. Anthony Davis ain't going to do that. Anthony ain't going to do that, but he's not supposed to do that either, because obviously he means more to the team. He can't afford to get thrown out, pushing Ayton around, trying to defend Austin Reeves. But Patrick Beverley can. And what happens if Patrick Beverley pushes Ayton? What's the worst thing that happens, right? Obviously he's going to get suspended, right? Well, that's a good thing for us. Why is that a good thing for us? Because he's a guard, and he needs to be removed from the lineup for a couple of games so Dennis Schroeder's cold behind can get in rhythm. You see? It all falls into place just fine. If he gets himself suspended, it's addition by subtraction for us. We're about to play the Spurs twice. He can sit for those games anyway. It's good for his knees. So this is a situation where I just said, this is perfect. And it kind of instilled a little bit of energy into the team after he did it, because then we ran a play and Anthony Davis got a dunk, and we had a couple plays where Anthony Davis couldn't get the ball. It also gave us a couple seconds for Anthony Davis to get a breather and for the rest of the team to get a breather as well. But the problem was, on the very next play, we had one of them sequences where Russell Westbrook drove at the basket, should have got a foul call, didn't get the foul call, turned an 8-point deficit, so it ended up erasing that momentum. But I felt like Patrick Beverley instilled a great deal of temporary momentum into our team when he got himself ejected. And plus, as I said, he wasn't doing nothing anyway, so he needed to be removed from the floor. So it was all perfect. I thought Patrick Beverley was brilliant in that situation, and I thought that he instilled a great deal of faith in him in regards to the fact that we ain't going to be a soft team. A guy like Austin Reeves know his teammates got his back. Ain't nobody going to be standing over you doing nothing of any kind, because we're going to push him. And that's so for anybody on our team. It goes a long way in developing the closeness and the chemistry necessary to get ourselves up out of this damn hole. And that is why Patrick Beverley is so necessary, because he does those things. It doesn't matter if he's 0 for 2 and ain't get a dang rebound or whatever. He's pushing people out of the way, and 2 or 3 weeks from now, a guy like Austin Reeves is going to run straight through a wall for a guy like Patrick Beverley because of a situation such as this. It's the exact same way I felt about B.I. when he swung at CP3. Everybody else was saying, oh, B.I. shouldn't have did that. It's the worst thing in the world. But he was sticking up for his teammates. And now everybody who plays on B.I. team know that he will go and knock you cold out for playing with his teammates, and his teammates will run through a brick wall for him to this day because of it. We all remember that. So this is one of them situations where I felt Pat Beverley made he made his money tonight by doing what it is that we pay Pat Beverley to do, which is the things that make us a tougher basketball team overall, and to be intelligent in when he chooses to enforce that. You understand what I'm saying? And I thought that he did that tonight. He might get himself suspended, and we appreciate it. Because, at some point in time, you just gotta make sure that other teams know that they're not going to be punking you. They're not going to do that. A guy like DeAndre Ayton, you ain't playing well enough. You had barely done anything up to that point in the game for you to be stepping over people when you weren't even in the play. You weren't even the person who fouled them. Why were you stepping over him? That was some corny stuff anyway. So as far as I was concerned, you need to be pushed to the ground and learn that lesson. That's how I felt. So I'm with Patrick Beverley on that. So anyway, that's how I felt about that. So Patrick Beverley kind of redeemed himself based on that as far as I'm concerned. It did kind of hurt the team, obviously, when you get technicals and get pulled out of the game. And this is where it hurts us, because now we don't have his defensive intelligence on the floor to help us, which ultimately did cater to our loss. But you know what I mean? You take the good with the bad in the situation. I think it's up to the rest of the team to pick up the pace when he gets off the floor. You know what I mean? And that was on coach to not sub in Dennis Schroeder, a defensive liability, when you have a situation where a defensive genius is removed from the play. The last thing you need to do is replace it with the great antithesis, and that's exactly what he did. You cannot go to Dennis Schroeder in these situations, coach. Who did you trust? Dennis Schroeder's 6'3", and you're going up against a bunch of size? Come on, man. We're talking about Mikal Bridges and Devin Booker scoring 25 points apiece. I mean, I just don't think we did enough to put the right type of defensive players on the floor to defend this team. You know what I mean? And then Ayton started going off in the fourth quarter after that. As I said, he hadn't done enough then. He started scoring and getting all kinds of layups and things like that. By the time that happened, it was over with. And so it's just one of those situations where it's like I felt like the game was winnable, but I also thought the Phoenix Suns did a good job of identifying what we were dealing with and forcing the issue with the talent that they had available to them. They did outclass us, and they kept us from winning the game. So I think that's what it really came down to. They beat us, I don't know that we could control enough of what we needed to control based on the choices our coach made in trusting certain people. And so that's really what I have to say. I think the team more or less sacrificed this game, and maybe we'll wish they didn't. Um, and I say the word sacrifice because I think coach was trying to instill confidence in other, like, Schroeder, in a game like this, I'm willing to go to you. It's like, this is a game where we really need something, but look at the faith I have in you. Like, I think that's the kind of thing that Darvin does. So I'm trying to get it. I'm trying. It's like I'm trying to get it because I know in long term the results are forming that overall I'll be happy that he did little things like this. But you just got to be patient, and you got to trust that it's gonna work out. And so that's what the problem is. It's like it's kind of hard to trust when this is the first go round. I don't have the data that shows I should trust this, but I think I know what I'm looking at. At the end of the day, I just wish we respect who's playing well and what we need to beat a certain team. Phoenix ain't a small ball team, so we need to play with some size. The guys that we were running weren't playing well, but the guys with the size didn't have enough minutes, and one of them was shooting well. So it's like, I'm not so sure we really understood what we needed to do to beat the Suns, man. And that's why I put such an emphasis on the rebounding, because if you're looking at the Suns from afar, you're thinking about Devin Booker, you're thinking about shooters, and you're not really thinking about rebounding. But if you look at who they've been running as of late, some of those guys specifically are tough guys. You know what I mean? Heavy duty guys. You look at this Wainwright dude. He is strong, man. This is a hefty brother. Like, if you're gonna throw a body out there that's only gonna be 6'3", 220 pounds, you're not gonna have enough success against a Wainwright. You're not gonna have enough success against a Torrey Craig. Biyombo and Ayton are gonna push you out the way. So that's what we would kind of run into, just bigger bodies, and our coach not choosing to play our bigger bodies. The Schroeder decision was ultimately it for me, man. That was it. A couple of that with Troy Brown just being absolutely his worst, man. And I'm trying to be patient with Troy Brown because I already seen what he looks like at his best. So we've seen the best and worst of Troy Brown. We've seen it all from Troy Brown in a matter of like 15 games. I think I know every bit of what Troy Brown can give me. And it's just about trying to get him back up to that trajectory to where he was when he first got here. He makes his money, I think, the most on the defensive end. Then his confidence can come and go with the offensive side, but he's not overly talented on the offensive side. And I think he kind of got zealous about it when he started because we had all those opportunities for him to take shots. And as a result, he kind of became part of a problem offensively because we weren't getting the ball to AD and he was taking shots in certain situations. So it was like trying to get him incorporated. I think we found that he works well with Russell Westbrook sometimes. And I haven't seen him on the floor with Russell Westbrook. We've kind of had him in the starting lineup to help us defensively on the wing. Maybe we need to kind of switch that back, put him back on the floor with Russell Westbrook. Wenyen also it's been said a lot to how well he plays with Wenyen Gabriel as well. Maybe we need to try to push those players together a little more in these lineups, and try to see if we can kind of find that synergy that we know works. We know Troy Brown and Russell play well off one another. We know Russell Westbrook and Wenyen Gabriel play well together. So let's see a little more of that. And try to see if we can find Troy Brown's confidence again, because boy, oh boy, man. I'm trying to learn my lesson not to fall off people's bandwagons so quick. I'm not going to do that this time. I did it with Kendrick Nunn. All I end up finding myself doing is jumping right back on it. But what I will say is Troy Brown is going to have to work his way back into the lineup rotation in terms of the confidence that we've showed him the first half of these games, because right now he was a huge part of the problem, and I don't know where he's been over the last 3 games, but he seems like he's checked out. So if only we can get everybody checked in at the same time. It seems like different guys check out at different times with this roster. And right now it's just Troy Brown and Wenyen Gabriel's time to check out. I don't know where they are, but I would like an APB put out on those 2 guys. And Wenyen, half his problem was the minutes, but with the 7 minutes he had, he was not good with them. And y'all know I'm singing his praises every day, but that ain't what I've been seeing from these particular players these last couple games. And if they would have gave us what we're used to getting from them, we would have won. There's another thing I want to say about this game. I want guys game to travel on the road. I understand you're on you got a different routine, a different building, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a good team, you can't shoot well at Staples or crypto and then come to somebody else's building and not be able to hit those same shots, man. I just want to see guys game travel on the road, and it gets real frustrating when you have so many offers on the road, and guys just balled out 2 nights ago in your gym. It's like, come on, man. It's the same distance, same height. Just shoot the ball the same way, please. All right. So, what else are we talking about, man? Anthony Davis, once again, 5 blocks, 5 steals. That alone is incredible, but I will say this. He led the team in turnovers. And one of the problems that we had tonight was turning the ball over. I think we had like 16 or 17 turnovers. That can't be the case, man. They only had 8 steals as a team, which means a lot of those turnovers were unforced. So what I'm looking at tonight, I think we can improve on is just how we take care of the basketball. Some of them little, things that we did weren't overly serious. Some of them were like stepping out of bounds, stuff like that. But we just got to sharpen up and get our mechanics right, continue to work, continue to run practices, because what we've been doing in practice is working. If you want to judge this game, and we always want to say that we don't judge everything we do with wins and losses. I thought we were okay. I thought the players had to work against what Darvin Ham was choosing to do. And with what they were up against, they did good things. Austin Reeves was rebounding the ball incredibly well tonight as usual, still being aggressive. I thought we got away from him. He should have been on the floor more, Times we put Dennis Schroeder on the floor. Austin should have been down there. But he gave us all that we wanted to see from him, high efficiency, stuff like that, from the free throw line, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I got to get my head right as it pertains to Austin's numbers. I don't remember what they were. But from the eye test, he definitely was aggressive tonight like he had been these last couple games, and I was pleased. What else? Who else are we talking about, man? There's a lot going on the Phoenix side of the game. You got to give credit to Devin Booker. And like I said, Bridges was awesome, scoring the ball left and right. He shot the ball so well in the first half, 4 out of 5. And then I think he hit another 3 as well. Ended up with like 31 points or something. I don't remember, but that dude was really, really special tonight. And we tell you, that's an Iron Man. That's one of the great NBA Iron Men in the league right now. He does not miss basketball games. And tonight he had one of his very best NBA performances. So, unfortunately, it had to happen against us. But that's a special player, man. Doesn't get enough credit. Very, very special player. He'll probably end up making an All-Star team at some point. They got a guy by the name of Dwayne Washington, I believe. Dwayne Washington Jr.? I think it's Dwayne Washington. I don't know if it's Dwayne Washington. Is that his name? I don't know. But yeah, Dwayne Washington, I believe it is. He came in and had like 17 minutes and had a bunch of points in a flurry for his team tonight. And I swear to you, I don't remember seeing him on the floor very often, but sure enough, he popped all the way off the box score. Probably the best player off their bench. So I think he might be a rookie. If he is, look out for him, because boy, was that impressive. As we said, Damian Jones shooting threes. He hit like 3 of them tonight. Man, that dude is starting to rise as one of the premier go-to bench scorers from behind the arc, man. This season, he obviously won a championship with the Golden State Warriors, and he's one of the guys that really got away from that team. It doesn't get talked about how much they were probably missing, but you can clearly see the type of talent he has. And, you see how the Golden State Warriors are struggling, and you just understand they really did lose a lot of players from that championship squad, and he was one of them. And, boy, is he helping Phoenix, boy. He is helping Phoenix. So I think that he could be the difference between winning a playoff series and not, given the type of talent, the three-point concerns that they had in the playoffs last year. He might have single-handedly just solved those issues, to be honest with you, given how he was shooting tonight. I'm overly impressed with that dude, the NBA champion right there. Who else, man? They just did a lot of good things, man. Bismack Biyombo, he didn't really pop off the screen in terms of his stats, but the eye test showed you he was all over the place with the minutes given. Torrey Craig, too. Those guys play well, man. As I told you guys, Torrey Craig would hit a 3. One of the corner threes that he ended up hitting was one down the clutch. So, as I was sitting there watching him do that, I was like, yeah, people who watch me know that was coming. It's just, when a team shoots that well at home, the whole ambiance is theirs. You know what I mean? They had the whole teal colors. As I told you, I can't stand that teal color on that floor, even though it is a nice floor and it is a nice jersey. They just don't belong together, in my opinion. But the whole thing was just, it was all Phoenix. You know what I mean? If you don't go in there ready to match up with their size, they just fed off their crowd, fed off the comfort of being at home. That's what I really saw there. The referees were calling a very, very biased home game. Even though it seems like the calls all went to Anthony Davis, which is really a strange thing. But if you watch the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. We just didn't get the key calls that ultimately would have helped us secure possessions that would have got us back into the game. You know, it's like we got all of Anthony Davis's calls, but the ones that we really, really, really needed, now they made damn sure they didn't call those. And then on the other end, duplicate calls that we otherwise would have wanted for ourselves would go to them every time. And then a couple phantom calls too. You see that they were getting, you're like, well, maybe I'm just looking at this through a fan's eye, so I'm just not gonna further harp on it. But yeah, it was what it was, man. I just didn't feel like we were getting the ones we really needed for Westbrook specifically. Got to give credit again to Lonnie Walker and how well he's been shooting, getting into the lane, picking his shots well. I wish the three would have felt a little better. I think that's where we kind of got hurt with him specifically, given the fact that we were, and that is what I want to get into, 4 for 22 from behind the arc. It took me long enough to say that, but that is really something that needs to be said. My God, Lakers, we took some serious steps back from behind the arc with our discipline. I don't care that we only shoot 22, because 22 is a good amount of three-point shots. In fact, we probably want to shoot more. And given the fact that we were shooting so poorly, shooting 22 only is a good thing when you can only get 4 of them. You probably want to shoot a lot less. For who we are, our attempts, we probably want to stay anywhere between 25 and 33, I guess. But if you're only hitting 4 of them, it just becomes a situation where it's like, all right, which ones are you taking? And then who's shooting them? When I look over at Dennis Schroeder, I say 0 for 3. He was not a part of the shell shock, so to speak, the first couple of games where we shot 45 of them and missed 3 or whatever, made 3 or what have you. So he doesn't have the memories of how that went as it pertains to being a part of that. He was sitting in street clothes when all that was going on. And that's why I didn't want him to play in a game like this. Because what we were trying to measure is the tendencies that we had overcome based on people who had been through that and have now learned better. He ain't one of them. And the problem is you send him out there and he's going to do stuff that they don't, in undisciplined three-point shooting, which is not what our team is about. So now we got to get him worked into what it is that we're about based on those tendencies that we've overcome. And it's like, here we go, taking steps back, trusting the wrong people. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw there. You got him being inefficient shooting the ball, and you got Russell Westbrook shooting threes. He don't have no business shooting because he's seen a couple of them fall, so now he thinks he's Reggie Miller. It's that kind of thing. It's like, all right, guys, can we get back to what helps us? Because quality of possessions is everything for this basketball club. And with so many guys shooting 0-4 from behind the arc and 0-4 from the field, you can't win. I don't care if Anthony Davis puts up 37, 5, 5, and 21. You're not going to win. You can only, lose the rebounding total by 4, which I was impressed by. I've been screaming rebounds all day long. We only lost the rebounding total by 4. And we kept them under 50 rebounds. So I say hooray there. That's okay. But at the same time, we would have did so much better if we would have given ourselves a little more Thomas Bryant and Wenyen Gabriel. We would have did so much better if we would have kept Dennis Schroeder off the floor and his size disadvantage and defensive disadvantages. Would have did a lot better if we wouldn't lean on Patrick Beverly so dang much. It's just like, who did you trust, Coach? Who did you trust? I tell you, man. I tell you who he trusted. The 0 for Gophers. That's right. And some of them dudes didn't need the word Laker on their shirt. No, it needed to say Gophers. And that's what we're going to be calling people with the 0 for Gophers from here on out. If you can't hit a shot, you're part of that squad there. Tonight, it was Wenyen Gabriel, Troy Brown. Who else is part of that situation there? Damn, my mind's going blank. It was a couple of y'all. Wenyen Gabriel, Troy Brown. 0 for Gophers. Y'all got to get y'all stuff together. If you didn't hit a shot tonight, you're part of that. Simple and plain. And so at this point, it's like, we cannot lean on players that can't hit shots. We can't lean on players that can't accumulate some scoring in 21 minutes of time, man. I'm sorry. Patrick Beverly, 0 for Gopher. Come on, man. Not going to work. You know what I'm saying? And there was one more too, and I'll think your name in a minute. Obviously, you didn't make an impact since you did not score the ball, but that's the point. You know what I'm saying? We want people to account. If AD's gonna be aggressive putting up all these numbers, he needs help, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And look, I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound like the complete opposite of what I've been saying. Kendrick Nunn wasn't trusted enough tonight. He wasn't. I think he shot 50% from the field. May have had a turnover or two. Not enough minutes for the production that he'd been giving us based on the way he'd been playing these last couple games. I'm sorry. You just got to go with what the evidence shows you. You went with Dennis Schroeder. And the way I look at it is this. We've been dealing with Kendrick Nunn working on his tendency so that he can get to a level where he's playing better. So what you did was you put in a player that you have to start that process with all over again after getting to a certain point with the player that you're working on. You see what I'm saying? It's like you once you put Dennis Schroeder in, you're starting from ground zero. He has to work his way out of the struggles. We just went through that with Kendrick Nunn. So now you're going to put Dennis Schroeder in there to go through this again? It's like this is working. It's a compounding effect against the team. And you lose because of it. You know what I mean? It's like guard play was so important. You got to choose the right guards to play. Kendrick Nunn is still on the uptick because his efficiency is starting to come back around. He should have been on the floor instead of Dennis Schroeder. Dennis could have been straight for all of that nonsense in the San Antonio game. We could play him 35 minutes in the San Antonio game. And so that's my thing. It's like, who did you trust? I'm going toward the Ophir Gophers, and they gave you nada at all. And then you look at 4 for 5 from my boy Thomas. It's like Thomas is going hard. You can't reward that when you know we're going up against centers? What are we looking at, coach? I don't know. I think when you look at this particular game, you just understand that it really wasn't the players tonight. It was the decisions of the coaching staff to go certain directions, and as a result, it just kept us at a disadvantage. 4 out of 22 3-point shots. You're gonna lose every game doing that. You're not gonna be able to beat a 5th grade team doing that. No, 16 turnovers, and you're shooting like that. How many offensive rebounds did we have? 8 offensive rebounds. So where in the heck? Obviously, the ball's going straight into their hands when you shoot like that. So I mean, nah. We were lucky to only lose by 10 points tonight. We were lucky to only lose by 10 points tonight with so many guys being 0 for Gophers. No. I'm sorry. So I'm not saying that this was a complete failure. Not at all. There were certain things that we were very pleased with. And like I said, Anthony Davis, that stat line is one for the ages, man. One for the absolute ages. I wish it was attached to a win so we could really celebrate. But that was not nothing to play with. I like that Russell Westbrook only had 1 turnover. That's that's a big deal to me. When I look at him and I see the team had 16 of the turnovers and he only had 1, do you know how big of a deal that is to me? It's massive, man. I'm very happy with that. But all in all, I need guys to be positive players for their basketball team. I don't want to disrespect anybody, but when you're a professional and this is one of those measuring stick games, and I look over and you're an Ophir Gopher, and I look over at another guy and they all got the same problem, I have a hard time being able to look at that as a positive. I have a hard time saying, yeah, we've met the measure. No, we didn't meet the measure. Nah. Anthony Davis met the measure. He went up against some bigs and tore them up. You know what I'm saying? That was the thing. He had been going up against smaller teams and was able to get rebounds. Could he rebound over a real rebounding team with some actual centers? And he rebounded even more over them dudes. Anthony Davis is in rare form, and y'all need to fear him. But if everybody else on his team is not going to score, and we're going to have situations where dudes are going to be undersized around him, you can have the biggest lines in the world. It's still going to amount to nothing. I just don't like the guys didn't show up tonight, man. Certain guys, not everybody, and we know who they are and we know who didn't, but like the Ophir Gophers, specifically, the ones who did not score. That's not gonna cut it, man. And if I'm not mistaken, it was one of them Gophers that had 9 rebounds. I think that's how that went. I don't know which one it was, so I want to give them credit for crashing the glass. Whoever it was, they didn't score much, but they rebounded like crazy. But even so, it's like when you see we only lost by 10. We only lost by 10 and we had 4 players didn't score. All you had to do was get a layup each. And we're that much closer. I mean, this is the problem that we have with the squad, y'all. At the end of the day, we do have to make a trade because some of these dudes are just not going to be consistent. They're just not, you know what I mean? They're just not going to be that. That's not who they are at all in this life. And so we got to put people on the floor who can do that. Now, we're not too far away. We're not as far away as we think. But it's understood that we do have to make a trade if we want to compete this year. That is just the fact for this unit. Patrick Beverley, we just lean on him too much, man. And like I said, Dennis Schroeder's going to get in better shape. He's going to shake this off. We're going to have a different trajectory about him. And there's going to be times where we're going to want him in the game for what it is he does. So I'm not worried about that. This is where we are with him right now. He just has to get back in shape. He has to find his role on this team. And right now we're going to try to get him worked into it. I just would rather not have sacrificed this particular game. I wanted this one. That's all I'm saying. I wanted this one. San Antonio, we can experiment against San Antonio all night long. We can run small ball against San Antonio. They don't want to win. They're going to do everything they can to lose that game. So that's when you experiment with these guys. You get Braun back in there, Schroeder. You can play them on small ball, whatever. San Antonio don't want to win. But Phoenix is a team where you got to count your wins against them because it may make the difference whether or not you have home court advantage in a playoff series against this team. Like, that's the type of thing that you're dealing with when you have a matchup like this. You don't fold in a game like this. You don't undersize yourself in a game like this. Play the cold hand because I want to believe in that guy. Believe in him in San Antonio. Believe in him against the Pacers, not against the damn Suns. So that's all I'm trying to say about it, man. I was a little frustrated with Darvin Ham. I think it'll result in the perfect results later on, man. I know it will. It'll all work out. Troy Brown will be better because he believed in him. Dennis Schroeder will be better because he believed in him. But Darvin's going to have to understand size is a real thing, man. You come from Milwaukee, so I'm not saying nothing that you don't really know. But if you're going to be on the Lakers sidelines, bro, size is something that we really, really pride ourselves in taking advantage of and matching up well with. And we have had far too many times where guys are just shooting over us while tall people are sitting down playing well in the stat sheet. It's just got to stop, man. We got to continue to work on matching up and helping ourselves. One of the things that I think, one of the things I want to be able to do, and this is when Darvin Ham gets to that point, because obviously he's a rookie coach right now, but one of the things that I think is important is looking at the team and always being able to say it's the player's fault. The player's fault we lost because the coach got the scheme on point. He's going to do the things that help with timing. He's going to do the things to make sure the right players are on the floor. He's going to call the right timeouts. That kind of thing. The coach should not be the reason we lost. It shouldn't be because he didn't put the right chess pieces on the floor. That's my attitude. So that's how I feel about the particular game. I just felt like we put the wrong chess pieces on the floor. Now, in an 82-game schedule, you can strategize all different types of ways. You can punt 3 games, right, to make a point if you really want to. You can put weird lineups on the floor just to see that those lineups make sense later on in games like this in November or whatever. So I get it. I really, really understand all types of strategy, but I just pick apart games at a time. And when I see a game that's winnable, I've seen far too many seasons where you lose those games, you outthink yourself, strategize, and then you end up hurting yourself in the long run. You find out that somebody gets lost with an injury or something. Now you end up having to make up for more losses than you anticipate needing to. So it's like these are the type of wins you just want to capture. You want to capture a couple of wins that could go either way because you know that one of these days you're going to lose a game you're definitely supposed to win. You feel me? It's like, this is one of them games where we felt like we could have got this one. A 10-point deficit, that was something we could have overcame if we would have had a couple things fall our way and did a few things differently. Mainly just hit a few threes, man. My God, 422 is absolutely remedial. We're pros out here. Seriously. So that's where I'm at, man. I'm not as frustrated as I sound, to be honest with you. I'm actually okay with the game. Once again, Anthony Davis getting the game ball. I mean, my goodness, man. But you got to give credit to the opponent who won because they had a lot of players in double figures, including 25 from Booker. And, of course, Bridges, who shot like he was Klay Thompson or somebody like that. So you just live with it, man. You live with it, especially when you got a guy named Washington off the bench just scoring like crazy. I don't know where the heck he came from. If he doesn't give them that production, for which we didn't have on the drawing board, then we win that game too. So it's just a lot of stuff you cannot account for when you're playing against a very good team that's very well coached. And that's exactly what the Phoenix Suns are, man. So throw that one in the bag. That game is behind us. We did not win it, but we're okay. We move on to San Antonio. We got a couple of games against San Antonio, and we do expect that they will do everything they can to lose those games because Wembanyama is very much something that they're focused on right now. We just saw them the game before last, and we got 2 games straight. Both games at 5 o'clock on Friday and Saturday in their building, 5 o'clock p.m. And, it's going to be a situation where I'll be very disappointed if the Lakers lose those games or one of those games. There should be no reason why we don't sweep San Antonio. We got to keep on putting the pressure on that team just like we put on any other team, just in case they want to get frisky and decide they want to choose this game to be a win for themselves. Don't let it happen. Keep feeding Anthony Davis. Hopefully his wrist is fine because obviously that's something. But, he was looking at it and laboring on it in the second half, man. But at the same time, he played through it. So I don't know if it's going to be an MRI. Of course, I haven't checked anything since this buzzer sound. So, you guys tell me. Hopefully as well. I'll find out when this video's over. But what else? Russell Westbrook and the finger. I think it probably affected some of his efficiency out there because I know he's dealing with the thumb from the last game. But all in all, I thought he played one of the better games, offensively. I just thought that his aggressiveness just wasn't rewarded by the referees, and it should have been. It really, really should have been. So that's my take on it, man. That is my entire take on the game. I think there's nothing more to be said for it, man. Phoenix Suns were a better team. They won tonight. They took care of business. Anthony Davis was the best player on the floor, though. No question about that. Yeah, man. So that's what I got, man. We'll play again on Friday, 5 o'clock. San Antonio, BDL 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.